Start with fire, add oil, let it simmer. From the crew at 58 Surf and Stab, this isn't just a podcast, it's a sensory experience. Fresh from the coast, full of flavor, and prepared to perfection. Well, kinda. This is 58 Surf and Turf. Let's get cooked. 58 Surf and Turf with, how long have you lived here, Nick? Nick Uricchio.
Up here since 82.
Since 82.
Yeah, I was in Costa de Caparica before that when I first came over to Portugal.
And did you spend today mowing polyurethane down?
No, I actually finished one board this morning, then had a surf. Then I kind of cruised and went and looked at some I'm starting to build a house, so I was looking at some doors and looking at a carpentry place and that. So kind of a cruisy day.
All right, where's the house?
It's going to be but farther north of here, just far north of Colada.
Okay.
It's gotten too expensive here in the area, so
Pushing
I got to go north.
Watch
I
out.
go north and
You
inland.
someday.
It's gotten crazy. Man.
All right, so you are, I'm going to say, one of the most respected shapers here, if not the most respected shaper in this country. You've been going at it for years.
Yeah, it must be just that I've been at it so long.
You make incredible boards. You're such a big part of the community here. And so that's why we're happy to have you on the program. Let's go back to 82, brother.
82.
Yeah.
Different.
What were you up to?
I was up to surfing full on. That's what we kind of, I was in Costa de Caparica making surfboards, one of the first labels here, which was lipstick surfboards with my first partner here in Portugal, António Caldas. And Miguel was a good friend of mine. And things were starting to get a bit shaky there and weren't going, in the direction I really wanted to continue as far as like how I want my life to go and that. And Miguel was a friend of mine. He said, if you ever want to do this somewhere else, let me know. Or, want to start over again, do this somewhere else, let me know. And so I said, hey, Miguel, I got to get out of here. And he said, okay, where do you want to go? Let's do another surfboard label. Where do you want to go? And I thought, well, why don't we just go to Best Waves in Portugal, which was Ericeira at the time,
Yeah.
And so we decided to move up here, which was lifestyle, great plan.
Yeah.
It was great. There was no one here. You surfed alone a bunch of times. I'd surf Coachos alone, Ribamar alone, the Reef alone. Just, a lot of empty lineups. And, lifestyle-wise, it was great. Business-wise, it was like shooting yourself in the foot, probably close to that, because there was no materials up here, no clients up here. We didn't have a car, so everything was like a major dilemma to get materials, to get clients. We'd wait for the weekends for like clients to come up.
Yeah.
And hopefully bring a ding up to get ding repair or, order a board or whatever. So it's pretty slow.
Things have changed a bit. I think there's about 700 surfboards behind me here in the shop.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
So,
it has become the mecca.
when did you start shaping? I mean, 82, you're talking about moving here and bouncing around a bit, but you grew up in the States.
Yeah, I'd shaped one board in my dad's garage, and he said it would be the first and last, and I've told that story a lot of times, so I'm not even going to get into that. But then I started in Costa de Caparica with António Caldas, who had gone to England. He went to Cornwall exactly to learn with Roger Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
You ever heard of Roger Cooper surfboards? He's one of the original guys from Cornwall and that. And Antonio learned with him and brought the technology down, and we started down there. And I think our first 40 clients were as close to thing you could call the guinea pigs as you would want to. Our learning process was at their expense pretty much on the first.
So board 2 was here. Board 1 was in the U.S. before you moved.
Yeah,
and board
1 was in the U.S. Yeah.
How much time had elapsed between that first attempt at shaping and being here?
First attempt at shaping was 76.
Okay, so
and
you took some time off.
Getting into it was like 79. So 3
Okay.
years. Yeah, that first board, I've told this story before. It was kind of funny. When I finished that first board, I shaped it in my dad's garage. Another friend of mine glassed it. Stan Vasily, a guy from like Czechoslovakia, said, I know how to glass. I said, oh, yeah, cool. So we glassed his board, and it was, I thought it was great because it was my first board in that. And we're at this party in Sierra Madre in the valley, up in the hills in Sierra Madre and that. And everybody says, hey, let's go surfing. It's like 3 a.m. We all pack into a Volkswagen, like 5 of us into a Volkswagen, strap all the boards on top, and we go to the county line, where Ventura County line is.
Yeah.
Right. And wake up in the morning, first guy jumps out of the car, said, hey, they stole our surfboards. I said, oh, no, my new board I just made that. Jump out of the car, run out, look up, and my board's still there. I said, hey, they didn't steal mine. I thought, why the fuck didn't they steal my board?
So every board but this one got stolen.
Every board but my board. That's how good this thing was. These locals knew what a good surfboard looked like, so they left mine up there.
Wow, those
And we all, all of us had to go in this thing, and it was, truly a piece of shit. And
I guess you had to at that point.
Yeah,
Everybody else's
yeah,
board was gone.
yeah, that's my first board anyway.
Nice. And what inspired the move here? Did you just kind of visit and say, well, I'm not going back?
What's that, to Portugal?
Yeah.
Yeah, just having come over, and I think it was like running into California a long time ago. Like there was no one here surfing wise. There were probably 100 surfers from north to south in the whole country. So it was, perfect. It's good timing, I think, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I had no idea there were waves here even. I mean, think about it.
You just came here to just check out the country
I
in
was just
general.
cruising Europe. I was backpacking Europe in that Euro pass, the little getaway trip.
Yeah.
A lot of Americans did at the time. Freddie Laker's flights, which were super cheap at the time, which was $1,000 round trip from LA.
Mm-hmm.
And this is 78, so it's way expensive now.
Yeah, it's punchy now.
Yeah, but at the time it was cheapest flight around.
Wow.
And there was nothing, no comfort, no food or anything.
Just get on and hope you get
it.
there.
Yeah, that was it. But yeah, that was I just kind of stumbled on the surf in Portugal, having no idea it was really here.
So
and
you
it
just
was
backpacking
good.
around, then showed up and you're like, oh, shit,
I
there's
did
waves.
Italy, Switzerland, all over Eastern Europe, Greece.
And did you surf that first trip, or did you just
No, I came with no intention to surf at all. And that first trip, by end of my first trip, when like my Euro pass ran out, it ran out. The last thing I used it for was to go up to France and buy a surfboard in Saint-Jean-de-Luz.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a board and a wetsuit there. A Natural Progression surfboard was from Malibu, and an Animal Skin, which is also from the States. So
Wow.
I ended up coming back with those two things to Kirkcaldy, and I stayed there for 3 months.
Okay.
In a youth hostel, and surfed awesome waves September, October, November. It was a really good year. And it was back when the banks, remember I was telling you the other day, it used to be different. There was just perfect left, like that was pretty much always in the same spot.
And,
there were rights in that also, but there was one really good left.
And that was the epicenter of the surf world here.
That was. That and Costa de Caparica. I want to say São Pedro, Kirkcaldy, and Costa de Caparica at that time. And then there was, a little hub of guys in the Algarve. There was a hub of guys in Figueira, and there was a hub of guys in Porto and that. But it was pretty, pretty limited. I mean, there were probably a couple guys up here that surfed, and you said at the time.
But it was still just, you'd go check Costa's saying it's just empty.
Yeah, and there were guys from Kirkcaldy at the time that were sneaking away and never told anybody about it, and they were surfing São Lourenço and Ribamar and Coxas and that, and they never let on, but.
Really?
Yeah.
How long did that last for?
It lasted a while. I think I want to say it was like Paul Innocence and all the guys from that original hub there. Manel Asterix, Pedro Black, the Innocence brothers, a couple other guys. They were, but that was before I surfed Coxas. I actually came up with Nuno Jonet. You know Nuno.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty well known. And we came up and he said, this would have been like, I want to say 79. No, 80, 81. I said, no, probably 79, 80. And he says, I'll take you to see Coxas. And drove down to Coxas. And where you have that beach Coxas where people go spend the day at the beach.
Yeah, the one to the right.
Turn off to the left and you're at Coxas. Well, he stopped here at that right. So that's Coxas. It was a huge day. He says, yeah, it's the red. Yeah, it looks, it looks like it has potential.
The wave.
Yeah, that place must be insane. When it's on, it was like giant. And it wasn't the real Coxas,
Yeah,
but he didn't know.
Just a few 100 meters off there.
Yeah, there you go. But anyways.
Look south, buddy.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, our original move up here was a nice period. Beautiful period,
Okay. And so you do that 3-month trip. You had to go back. Like what, after the first visit, did you know you're moving here?
I met, like I say, I met Antonio, I met Nuno, I met some other guys, and I said, hey, Nuno, if I ever decide to come back, do you think we could do it? And he said, hey, we can get something going, this and that. And I thought, yeah, I'll come back. I went back to the States. I worked, my old man was the maitre d' at the Beverly Hilton, so I got to work with him for like 3 or 4 months, got some more money together, and came straight back.
Wow.
And just started, I lived with Nuno in Lisbon, right near the Castelo de São Jorge there. And yeah, we just surfed. I surfed my brains out of that period in my life. And then we started making skateboards, and, then Antonio came up with the idea of surfboards, and I started, Antonio, Nuno, and I started making surfboards. Nuno came to the conclusion real fast that there was not enough. He had 2 young kids in that, so it was not enough money in it for like 3 people and 2 kids, and his wife and all that. So Nuno got out.
Were there any odd jobs before that? Like, did you get here with some cash built up and then?
No, I just kind of cruised, and Nuno was doing some macrame stuff and making some jewelry that he was selling down in Martin Muniz at night and that. But no, I was pretty. it was super cheap to be here at the time. You know what I mean? I mean, you get by for what, $5-6 a day,
Yeah.
pretty much. So with a good meal, you know, and some good wine and that, it was pretty cruisy. So.
Yeah. And so the surfboard thing was kind of working there, and then
Yeah, and that, you know, when we started that, it became a project, but it was, you know, I didn't have like any debt at the time. I had no mortgage on a house. I had no family to take care of. I had nothing. So it was pretty, you know, didn't have a car at that time. So it was pretty much, we were in Costa de Caparica. We just had to get our material and sell some boards once in a while to kind of keep it rolling. But, you know, it became a business when it came up here probably.
But that's only after shooting yourself in the foot, you said.
Yeah.
How long did it take to become a business before just bleeding out of the hoof?
We suffered for quite a while, you know. I mean,
years?
I want to say after a year, it started to turn into something, you know what I mean? But it took a little while.
Okay.
We had my partner, Miguel Katzenstein's father was Portuguese German, but we had to, you know, he loaned us some money to start the whole thing, and he wanted the perfect business plan on the payback, and we had to do that pretty much, you know, pay him back right time and all this, and it was all really sorted out because at that time, you know, unless you had money, you couldn't even go to the bank. And the bank was like, I want to say 24%, you know, on your money. It was a lot. It was expensive.
Yeah.
You know, so he was a bit under that. It was pretty close though still. Okay. But yeah, we had to have this business plan and all that. And it didn't pan out like we thought it would. We paid him back everything pretty much on time.
Yeah.
But, you know, we had bills in the local supermarket, you know. We ate spaghetti as many ways as you could possibly eat it, you know, from ketchup to butter.
Your last name is Italian though, so you must not have minded that.
Yeah, but man, I tell you what, we had a lot of different spaghettis, man. Spaghetti was a main course all the time. And at the time when you know, there were no cell phones in that for starters, so we had to make all our calls to come to businesses that we wanted to sell to clients that would pick up boards or whatever it was. At the local cafe, which was Cafe Vittoria, and they had one of those little impulse machines. So when you got on the phone, it would click, 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 and every impulse was worth, I don't know how much it was in scooters. But we had a little block there with the name of our company, Cement Surfboards, Nick and Miguel, and we just had to write how many impulses the thing every time we went there. So when we sold a board, we had a ding repair money come in. We go to the supermarket, Tito's supermarket in Ribamar, sort our bills out, go to João and pay all the impulses on the telephone. So it was like, that was our first step always, to pay local guys, you know.
Wow.
To keep it rolling. But,
well, I mean, at least with that, to get started there, you didn't have to buy like a $90,000 CNC machine in those days.
Yeah, no, that was not the time you're hacking it out. If you saw that first blank, man, I would have loved to have a CNC at that time, man.
Where were the blanks coming from? Were you importing them at that time?
No, we had, the first blanks they had was a mold I'd made, and Tony and I had made up in northern Portugal in a place called Picoto, which is right near Aveiro. Aveiro? No. Help me out here. Aveiro now. Where's that really good right-hander? Somebody help me out.
Yeah.
No. South. North. Spinho, exactly. In Spinho. It's right near Spinho. There's a little place called Picoto. And we had a mold made there, but this thing came off the nose, about 4 inches thick in the nose, went in the middle, grew up to about 10 inches thick, and then it dropped back to 4 again. It was a beast.
Wow.
I'll tell you,
and
Neville
you had
Hyman.
to mow that thing with
Neville Hyman was a good friend of my partner Miguel's. You remember Neville?
Yeah.
Australian shaper. And he came over and said, yeah, mate, I'll do some boards when I come over, mate. And we said, how many you want to do? Maybe 20 boards, mate. I'll do 20 boards. No worries in that, because he's on his way, I don't know where, to France or whatever. He comes over, and he had Nuno Jonet ordered one. And we had another, like 3 guys lined up for orders, and that. Neville came over, and he looked at the blank, and he mowed the first one. He said, hey, mate, I'll do one more. I'll do one more, and that's it.
Too.
I'll do one more, forget about it. I said, hey, Neville, all you got to do is plane them sideways first and just get the deck settled out. And he's all, no.
No.
But yeah, those different times, you know.
Nice. And so shaping for you is kind of a tradition that was passed on, you know, like you said, the guy who taught you went up to Cornwall to learn, and you feel like in those early days, you kind of just learned from trial and error and a bit of, you know, experience from other people that you're sponging off of. Yeah.
I think always fortunate enough to be here, because I mean, from the time of Costa de Caparica, you know, Neville came through, different shapers came through, and shapers away from their home, I think we're a lot more open to, you know, talk about stuff and, you know, help you out a bit.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, and I think it was great because a lot of people did travel through. I mean, Morris Cole came through. A lot of people came through. Phil Grace and a bunch of other guys. Kids passed out a lot of information that they probably, if you were on their competitive turf, they wouldn't have probably. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it was good that way. And Portugal has had a lot of good shapers and a lot of good surfers and that come through. And I've had opportunity to work with a lot of good, good shapers and surfers also.
Yeah. So how long did it take you to feel like you're pretty confident in the surfboards that you were turning out?
Oh, shoot. I want to say when I left Costa de Caparica, I don't think I was yet at all. And up here, probably, I always felt like what I was doing was good. Like, really focused on how it was coming out. But the reality is, if you look back now, they were straight, side to side. They were all on in that. So I think mechanically they were good. But I think it took a while to, like, when I brought boards up from Costa de Caparica that I'd made there and took them out at Big Coast, I was surfing maybe a 5.8. I don't know how wide it was, whatever, wing swallowtail with boxy rails and the edge way out, and dropping in the coast, you get out of the bottom, just boom, spin out, you know what I mean, in the bottom. So learned about, you got to have a bit more tuck on rails, you got to lower rails a bit. So it was a learning process when I moved up here, because just the caliber of waves changed that much, which was a huge change. And the waves I was surfing between Costa de Caparica and like Coach was.
Yeah, it's a different beat.
So, but it's always been a learning process. And I think, things probably after I started maybe 5 years into it, you feel like you're kind of dominating things a bit and you kind of understand what you're doing and can whack up a decent template and, you know where you want to put fins and stuff like that. But
yeah,
I think it's a constant learning process still. When I loved quads when I first started making them, then they kind of disappeared and then they came back and it was, just throwing fins around that. And it's a fun thing. That's the thing about shaping for me in the industry. It's probably the only thing that really interests me. I wouldn't want to be, and I'm not saying I respect a guy that's a good sander or a good glasser or a good whatever, or a good airbrusher, but I wouldn't want to do any of them. You know what I mean? I mean, day after day after day, I think the only thing that really interests me is shaping, myself personally,
How do you balance
it's
that?
an ever-changing thing, you know what I mean?
Now that, you mentioned Nev's name before, he was obviously instrumental in some of those, not the first, but I'd say the machines that the ones we use today kind of evolved from. He was a leader in the space of using computers, using design programs, using CNC machines to cut boards. What kind of balance would you say you use now? Like, are you pretty into designing files, or are you still just like everything in hand and you see what's going on board? Just
I shape by hand for 25 years, and I've been doing them on a machine since then. I worked off the first machine that came to Portugal, which was Hugo Cartachana up at Spo Surfboards. He got the first machine, and it was a CNC machine out of Brazil. You've probably seen that one before. Timmy Patterson used one of those for years, and a lot of guys use them in Hawaii. Bushman used it. I mean, it was the first machine that was out there, which was, and I still use that machine. I bought one of those secondhand. I'm still running on that thing because I think it's really accurate. It's a sturdy machine in that. It takes a bit longer to finish them. But if you shape by hand for 25 years, it's not like it's any big.
Yeah.
It takes all the beef, the tough work that, ruined my shoulders and my joints and all that. That's all taken out.
If you had one of those, Nev would have shaped 20 boards.
There you go. He would have done on that blank too. But no, I think there were, Nev got into the whole rocker, like there was profiling machines in Australia in the early days where they were just top and bottom profilers, getting the curve and thickness distribution, but no rail, no dome, no outlining.
Yeah.
It was just basic stuff, But the machines now, I mean, there's machines that leave them like super finished. I know this guy's finishing boards in 10, 15 minutes. That's not the case with me. I'm still like a 45-minute to an hour finisher.
Yeah. So you're not so into designing the files.
My book, put all the measurements, a bunch of stuff. But I do love designing now, and I think it takes a while to change. Having worked 25 years by hand, there's a lot of accumulated knowledge that you can, once you get a knack for the designing part of it, that all comes in handy because you're looking at a board, where you want your rocker at 24 inches down from the nose or 24 from the tail, and what kind of distribution thickness you want, and where you want the hip on your surfboard. There's a lot of stuff that working by hand that you had to think a lot about and kind of physically measure out to get correct. That
and now
if you carry that over,
and if you can
shaped by hand for years and never got on the computer thing. They have someone else doing their designs. They shape them, they finish them, but they don't want to design them.
Yeah.
Which I can understand too, because it's a big turnover to make that whole process a pain in the ass. But
I think there's vice versa too. There's a lot of people that just want to design files and not really touch board.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. There's, I've had guys come around and say, yeah. I said, where'd you get the board? Oh, a friend of mine made it. Yeah. Has he been shaping a while? Oh, it's his second board. So it looks pretty good. And, and the fact is that the guy Shape 3D, they have boards on file. Guy can drag one off, get it cut on some of the better machines in Portugal that are out there, better than mine. But get it cut on one of those. Just fine sand a thing. If you don't touch it too much, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And they get it glassed in a proper factory. There's a lot of proper factories out there, like ours, Pollen's, the Shape Line. There's a lot of good glassing companies around. So, a guy can make his first or second board and it'll come out perfect. But if it doesn't work for somebody, go and talk to him and ask him, why doesn't it work for me? And the guy doesn't got a clue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think these days,
the reasoning behind why, if you're buying a design from a renowned shaper online and cutting it in that, it's going to come out nice, but you're not going to know why it functions or doesn't function. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How many models do you have now? Do you know?
Shoot,
top of your head?
Roughly. Quite a few. I got to get some more out there.
Do you? I guess that's how the business works these days. Just turn on new ones, say, hey.
Yeah, it's almost a must these days, huh?
Yeah.
Keep people excited. I mean, the whole social media thing and the web thing and all that changed everything so much. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, well, I've heard that that Mikey February fish board that Channel Islands came out with is selling incredibly well.
Yeah. Obviously,
Mikey's such a talented surfer. He looks so good on the thing. And a fish is a board that, you don't have to be insanely skilled to ride it, even though he obviously is.
Yeah.
That's a design that a kneeboarder invented in San Diego in the 70s, that obviously they refined the rocker. They've played with the outline a bit, but it still is a shape that's been roughly a shape that's been around, or a design that originated back then. So make new models just for
There's a lot of fish. That pendulum, go back and find what really worked and then bring it forward and, maybe tweak it a bit, give it a bit of bevel or give it a bit of concave or this or that, or new fin placement, different fin setups, better fins, whatever. But yeah, that's the thing that is probably good right now, is that people's minds are open to all kinds of, boards. It's not like set. There was a period where everyone wanted the high performance board and all that. And,
yeah,
it's just wide open now. And there's tons of different models out there.
You mentioned quads before, but is there anything else like that you feel like was kind of par for the course, or at least more around in surfboard design throughout your career, that isn't really used so much anymore, that you feel like should be revisited?
I don't know. I grew up on single fins, and then, three fins came around. Twinnies always went kind of sideways on me. I couldn't get on well. I didn't get on well on twinnies. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of good twinnies out there right now, and I like twinnies for solid surf, twinnies for fun surf, twinnies have made a big move, and quads also. I think single fins are probably, something that people are going to play around with again,
Yeah.
There's some out there, but no, I don't, like I say, it's a pendulum, go back and forth, find the good stuff. I had a school teacher that said way back in the day, don't throw any of your clothes away, because 20 years from now, they'll be in fashion again. So yeah, they still fit you, right?
Speaking of which, you are wearing a very old school
there you go.
shirt from your brand Cement here.
22 years old, this one, or 23, something like that.
Wow. And just to be clear, when you guys moved the factory up here, that was your name. Like that's when Cement was born.
Yeah. The idea was something. Cement means like seed or semilla. In Spanish it's semilla, but cement means seed, and the whole idea was something like new that we're going to plant and hopefully going to grow, and it has. It's been a long run. So
yeah, and you guys actually had a pretty considerable apparel side of your business at one point.
Yeah, it was big time at the point. In the 90s and that. Yeah, it was booming.
Mostly just domestically, or were you shipping stuff?
No, it was all mostly Portugal. For sure. A little stuff. We did a bit up to Holland at one point.
There you go.
We did.
Get the Dutchies excited.
Thought we were going big time. We were going to go worldwide at the time.
Going global. Holland.
Oh, crazy. I'm sorry, guys. Let me turn this thing off.
Oh, good.
All right. Yeah. No, it was a good period. It was crazy. Sorry about that. I don't know how to turn this thing off. Turn it all the way on. Yeah, we started clothing with just t-shirts and that, and then it
You got to
You
be
ever feel
online
like
these
I'm
days.
feeling lame with the technology, eh? Emergency, one exit, end call. All right, end that one.
He's live.
Get me out of here.
We're live.
My
There's...
daughter called me. You answer. But no, I started with t-shirts and that, and yeah, then it just kept growing and growing and going. We were like, everything, socks, scarves, hats.
Wow, the whole range.
Yeah, it was full on. It was full on. And it started like in the back of the van. We used to go in shops and we'd have like 6 different boxes in the back with 6 different colors and 3 different prints and sizes from SML. We take a little paper and what do you want? Bring in the 4 different designs. And he said, I want that one in orange, that one in blue, that one in... Got the car with a piece of paper, another box, you just throw them in there. It was pretty,
Wow.
yeah.
Fashionista over here.
Different period, man. Start up in Porto and head all the way down.
There you go.
Crazy.
Doing the tour. Have the margins changed on surfboards in your career?
Eh?
Has the margin on the surfboards changed for you throughout the course of your career?
It's changed a lot. I mean, from the time we started, if we sold what? 12 boards a month, we were killing it. You
Really?
know what I mean? Yeah.
The margin was just that much better?
Oh, yeah, it's a lot better now. But I mean, the competition is also like 10 times more now. This, like you say, there's what, 700 boards in this shop.
Yeah.
There's another shop down there with another 500, and if you go into Ericeira, it's just shop after shop after
There's
shop.
a lot of surfboards here.
There's a lot of surfboards. I mean, this like shop, I mean, this rivals most shops in any big shop in the world.
I'd have to say, yeah.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily the amount of boards and even traction, fins, everything. Like if you
That's
need
crazy.
something to surf
And
here.
I think all surfboard builders lived high times in the COVID period. Just crazy production for everybody. And I mean, people couldn't make boards fast enough. And it's dropped off heavily since then.
Were you selling because I think the theory there was that there's a lot of people that were new to surfing. Were you selling boards that felt like that felt like was maybe a little bit more user friendly, or is it just across the board people were buying?
At that period, the
anything?
COVID time?
Yeah.
I thought it was more that just people had a lot of free time. And, they were kind of laid off, but they still had money. And they would figure, well, I can't travel, so I can't go to Indo, I can't go to Maldives, I can't go here or there. So I'm just going to invest in being home, and they invested in material, surfboards and all that.
Yeah.
And within Europe, I think a lot of people came down there because they could get away with coming down here. It wasn't an international travel now. They could come down here. So there was a lot of business happening in Portugal at the time. And we had a lot, but I think the States were the same. People made tons of boards in the States. I know, Pukas made tons of boards. In France, they were making tons of boards. And just, I think all shops stocked up heavily. Wetsuits was the same thing. All technical stuff was like major sellout. And then all the shops stocked up big times after that. And now there was like
slowed down a bit.
Overstocking. Yeah. So,
yeah.
But, for us, we've never had a huge factory or huge overhead. I mean, meaning to the point where I had to make 200 boards a month to survive,
Yeah.
In my factory, I'd say we can comfortably make 120 boards a month, but can get by making 60 if it has to be like that. So it's kind of
got a good range there.
We've got, representatives of clothing and that also. So
yeah,
other labels of clothing that we deal with. So if we're not counting 100% on surfboards, but my focus has always been 100% surfboards. That's my division in our company anyway.
What model are you most, I don't know if I want to say proud of or most happy to shape right now? What if you're going to go in there tomorrow and shape one board that you're going to just feel extra passionate about, what would it be?
I still love shaping. Yesterday I shaped a catcher, I shaped a thug, and I shaped a board for Antonio Gama's son. I don't know if you know Antonio Gama from Peniche, Togama. Made one for Martinho Barros. I love making like a lot of the models we have, the hitched catcher, stuff like that. I like shaping a lot.
Give us a little overview.
I like making customs.
Step up, step down, standard shorty. Like, what are these models?
Hey?
What are your naming words like thug and stuff? And
yeah, thug. We've got a thug
catcher.
and a mega thug. That's kind of it's a small wave board.
Okay.
It's a real fun board. And it's got a single, double concave. We got a lot of models. We got to get them a look at them. But catcher's like our quad model.
Yeah.
And I'm a big catcher fan. It's been one of our oldest models and one of our best sellers, like still. got a hitch, which is like direction that like Cochise and that, or down the line, kind of point wavies.
What did you ride there yesterday?
I rode a big fat boat that I made to try and get my ass back in the water.
I heard it worked.
The 610, yeah, it's all right. It's all right. I had a better time today. I didn't have a good time yesterday.
Okay.
Today felt good though.
Back on the boat?
Because now I was back at Cochise, which is for me, yeah, I was back on the boat again.
Okay.
But, out with a couple of the boys at Cochise, which is always, that's my home spot, and that's the place I love to surf,
Yeah.
So that made the difference for me today anyway.
Crowd out there has changed a little bit since you first moved up here.
Yeah, I look at it now, and I mean, there's big days I won't go out anymore, but I look at it now, and it's pretty intense, eh? I mean, there was, 3 days ago, probably about 3 meters. It was solid.
Yeah.
And there were 60 guys on it. And there's a lot of kids that are just charging.
Yeah.
And that, the stamina in kids and that, the instant comeback of energy, it's hard to keep up with that as you get older. So I'd rather watch it from afar than get out there and try and struggle, I think any place where you surfed a lot through the years and you felt at one point in your life that you dominated a bit, and then all of a sudden you don't, and it's super busy. You kind of, some days you'd rather not even show up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. Do you have a wave that sticks out as the wave of your life?
Yeah, it would have been there. Would have been at Cochise, yeah.
Just a big old barrel or what?
Yeah, good barrel.
Yeah.
But there's been a couple, I mean, but that's just one of my favorite waves. And there's another place in California, La Conchita, below Rincon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably when I was younger, had some of the waves of my life there.
Yeah.
And even Rincon, but yeah, but definitely Cochise. Not any, I can't pinpoint any wave, but I can remember a lot of them, a lot of good ones,
Got it. Switching gears a bit, we've got a question from a fan out here.
Okay.
What's the best volume for a surfboard? Yeah.
Oh, no, that's not my fan. He's going to ask volume? Tell him to call Bill Stewart. No, I tell you what, I'm not saddened by volume. I think volume, once people get it pinpointed, is probably a good thing, and you can, I was even talking like a good friend of mine ordered some boards just after lunch today. Mm-hmm. I've been making boards for him for ages, and his whole focus was volume, which I can understand to a point, because he had this volume and he didn't feel it was enough, and he had that, it was too much, so it's a good volume thing. But for me, it's like people used to kind of say, I like a medium low rail, I like my wide point a bit forward, and you need a bit float under my chest. I don't like a thick tail, you know what I mean? And I want this length and this thickness. You go, okay, I can work with that. It's like you got guys that have, walk in, say, I want 34 liters. And you go, okay, how about give me like just rough idea. How long do you want to frickin' surf?
So people really just say one number, just say,
yeah, people tell my trainer, my coach said I need 34 liters. Okay. Anything else? No, just 34. Okay. Do you want that on what? On a fish? You want it on a, this Bill Stewart thing, you got to watch. It's on Instagram. Get in and check it out, because it's funnier than hell.
Okay. Can you summarize it?
It's things set up. They stage this thing, but he's like, oh yeah, that's all you need to know these days. That's all you need to know. It's volume. Nothing else matters. Who cares about it? That's all old school shit.
Yeah.
The rails and the rocker and all that. That's all old school.
Yeah.
Volume. That's all you need to know about.
Well, I think if somebody just orders a board and only tells you volume, just give them a mid-length, because that's what they deserve.
The funny thing about it is that there's a thing now where there's a bunch of guys battling that they're only not battling, but I'm just a hand shaper. It's like, it's a cool thing to be a hand shaper kind of thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But the hand shaper can tell you how much volume you have in your surfboard. You can't go and tell the hand shaper, I want this amount of volume. It doesn't exist. Volume came out when we started working with computers.
Yeah.
There's a reality of it. And, windsurfing and that, they had that before, because they were calculating stuff. They were, whole different process with moles and this and that. On the windsurf, all the pop-out windsurfs and that, they could calculate volume at the time. Yeah. And it only started with surfboards, only started with volume when we started designing surfboards on a computer. Because before that, it didn't exist at all. Yeah. So ask your hand shaper how much volume you have in your surfboard.
Oh, awesome. All right. I mean, do you miss hand shaping at all? You miss just the pain of it?
No, not really. I don't miss it that much. I did a run of I was out without blanks for a while. This is probably about 5-6 years ago. And I grabbed 4 parabolic stringers, where it has a center string and then has stringers like that. I shaped 4 of those in a row by hand with channels, with all kinds of stuff. Just went crazy and did a hand shaping session.
Wow, there you
And
go.
I finished those 4, and I said, that'll do me for about another 40 years. I'll be good. I'm good on that. I had this, I was with a kid in a conference down south, I want to say in southern Portugal, down in Faro, probably about 10 years ago. And he said, I'm just a hand shaper. This machine's for me, it's not really shaping. And I said, how long you been shaping? Oh, 2 years now. Is it? And how many boards you made? 100 boards. Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, listen, shape another 15,000 and then come talk to me about machines, not machines.
I think,
You know,
I've seen some critique from a man who's not afraid to dish it out, and rightfully so, from Ep.8 about people like that who especially are relying on the excellent craftsmanship of glassers and sanders to, I mean, if a board fits into a blank, the blanks are they're not what you dealt with when you were talking about Nev.
Yeah.
You know, I think if a board fits into a blank these days, you can obviously mangle some things, but you can glass a blank and it might go all right.
Yeah. But it's, it's a funny thing because I was like, I was thinking the other day, I made a board for Tiago Pires ages ago, and he came in, he used that board, it was a 7.2 for Sunset. And he came in second behind Sonny Garcia in this contest.
Wow.
I remember a long time ago. And he was in the Pro Junior contest with, I want to say with Fanning and Parco. You might know.
2000.
Yeah. At Makaha, Pro Junior contest. And the same day it was running Sunset. He was going back and forth from Makaha to Sunset.
Wow.
And he came in second to
No
Sonny.
turtle traffic back then.
Yeah. And they started calling him the Portuguese Tiger. There was a photo in, I think it was, I want to say in Surfing World, Australia and all that.
Uh-huh.
And they called him the Portuguese Tiger, the little guy. And I made that out of Clark foam. I want to say it was a 7.7 or a 7.6 rusty rocker, and it was just blank was just like butter, and everything was there. You kind of looked at it, and it looked like you could pull a beautiful shape out of this thing. And I measured the thing up at the end, kept all the measurements and all that. And I still got that paper there from that board. And Billabong asked me at one point, they said, we want to do 7 of those boards, put in our shops up in France and all that. And the only blank I had laying around was this big fat Bennett with like zilch rockers. So it was like a major trauma. And that's the thing now. Like to repeat a perfect board with the like technology we have these days, it's pretty, as long as it fits in the blank, it's going to happen. You know what I mean? You can cut the damn thing again.
Yeah.
And trying to mow something out of a blank that has nothing to do with the other one on a day you're not inspired at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's got 3-inch thickness in the nose, and this thing was like fine-tuned the nose. It's like a lot of measuring. It's a crazy amount of work, you know what I mean? So
wow. Well, hey, it got him a big result.
there you go.
7.2, I feel like people don't ride stuff like that Sunset anymore. You probably see stuff more in like the 6.6, 6.8 range.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Everything's come down. Even probably the old guys still ride big boards at Sunset.
Yeah, they have the best time ever, I think.
Yeah.
The old guys at Sunset rule. I think they go bigger. They're on like 10.0s, 10.2s, just out the back, smiling. Why not? What do you think is the biggest mistake people make when they're ordering a surfboard or buying a surfboard, and you can't say asking for just 34 liters volume?
I think it's probably sometimes just thinking that they know too much about surfboards. You know what I mean? They're maybe overread, overinformed. Because you can get overinformed. If you read enough about surfboards, you really think you understand them.
Yeah.
And you probably don't.
Dunning-Kruger effect. Learn a little bit about it, think you know everything. Learn
No,
a bit
but
more,
I
and
mean,
you're like,
people
oh, fuck.
overread the hell out of it. You know what I mean? It's like, I need this and that because, my surfing's like this and that. And, and it's, you get guys that show you films of them surfing, not insult, but like, you need a bit of help. You know what I mean? You might not want to get that board you're ordering right now. You might want to get something else,
Yeah.
I always, I have a
that-
tendency, if
like-
guys come, like 2 guys will come, I ask the guy next to him how the guy surfs all the time.
Uh-huh.
How's this guy surf? Just so that.
Put him on the spot like that.
Tell him, yeah.
And
I get
usually they
that
go,
too.
oh, well, he's...
The best ever. Guys that tell you, they show him, I had a guy send me films of his surfing.
Uh-huh.
And, the guys put a GoPro on their head.
Oh, no.
Eh?
Yeah, I'm aware that happens.
So this is me surfing. It's like, I got seasick watching this thing. I didn't see him or the board.
No.
Just,
That's not helpful to anybody.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
I'll figure that one out.
So you do think that there's still, people might be a little bit overzealous when they come to...
Yeah, I think not all of them, but I mean, the biggest mistake someone could probably made is to Yeah, I think they have to open up and listen to a shaper. You know,
Uh-huh.
and I think as a shaper, you also need to be humble and like listen to people and try and soak up as much as you can. If you're working with a qualified shaper who's been at it for a long time, just let them know what you're looking for and let them know what you felt. I always ask for someone, what's your last board or what's your favorite board? Just so I know what worked best for them up to that point.
Yeah.
Or what they're coming off of. If they're coming off of foamy, if they're coming off a board that was too thin or too wide or too fat or whatever, you know what I mean? Trying to get a bit of background on them.
Got it. I heard a theory once that there's some brands out there that write the literage a little bit lower than it actually is, including their boards. It's like you said, it's according to a machine, and there's so many things that affect how a board is going to drive, how it's going to paddle. But they actually kind of fib and knock it down a little bit because they know that people might just think they want less surfboard in the water than they actually need because they might be overestimating their skill for a bit.
That's possible.
You think it's possible?
Yeah. I think even leader-wise, leaders for me is not always an honest thing. You know what I mean? Because I think in a lot of factories, and I'm not knocking anyone, not pointing fingers at anyone personally in this and that, but in factories that pump out a lot of boards, a lot of times there's an order form and it's supposed to be 19 inch, it's supposed to be like 2 1/4 or 2 3/8 or whatever, and it's got this amount of liters. And shapers can overshape.
Yeah.
And you can drag your rails too hard. You can do a bunch of stuff. I've measured up tons of boards that are not that 19. They're like 18 3/4 glass. So I think it's the industry's going really fast sometimes. It's just these boards got to get out. So it's just, this is supposed to be that, and just written the paper and not what is on the board itself.
Yeah.
I like to take measures on boards. I like to know exactly what I finished at. You know what I mean? I think it's important. And I think leaders vary. Like you can, depending on the way you have your machine set also. Some machines cut lower rails than other machines. Discs cut completely different than a router bit cuts, and there's a lot of variation in cuts. So leaders might not always be as accurate as people want to think,
Exactly. Yeah. You send a file to 2 different factories. It's going to be 2 different boards.
Different machine cut settings and that, I took designs I tried cutting it on a couple other machines when it wouldn't fit in my machine. So I took it to another machine to cut, and they came out thinner than what I'm used to. But if I work with that machine every day, I would have adjusted things to, differently.
Yeah. Got it. What about, I feel like you said that some people come to the shop and they're maybe a little bit overeducated. They have all these ideas and maybe those ideas don't necessarily align with how they're actually going to surf. But I feel like one thing that's kind of rare to have, I think the everyday surfboard buyer talk about is foam. And obviously it's such a big part of, it is the essence of a surfboard. Yeah. Nobody knows if they're on Arctic blue or orange. You know what I mean? Like textile. Do you feel like
I'm super critical of foam?
What's your favorite? Well, if you're gonna make the most high performance board for the best surfer in your team right now,
I'll tell you what. I've had Arctic yellows, like it's high performance for kids in that. Great vibration. I've had some with not great vibration. I've had some of the best foam I've ever worked with off of Hugo Cartesian up in Spo.
Mm-hmm.
Like
F1
amazing,
does, right?
super light blanks that were some of the best boards ever made for some of my team riders and that. But it's blanks anywhere in the world that they're up and down. They can be depending on
batch, you think?
Depending on who's pouring, depending on the day, the weather. There's a lot of influence. I think the most consistent company I ever saw making blanks was back in the day of Clark Foam. They were amazing, and it was consistently amazing. And the only time I ever had a problem, they had a blow-through problem all over the world, and he pretty much came out and wrote a letter. We had a blow-through problem, and any blanks she had a problem with, like nearly a container for us.
Wow.
Reshipped the container because we had blow-through problems.
Yeah. Did you ever? Would you talk to Grubby a bit?
Grubby, not personally, no.
Okay.
I talked to you probably know the guy, Matthew Barker. Mm-hmm. He worked with Hurley also after he left Clark Foam. Yeah, I talk with him all the time. Super good guy. But,
all right.
Grubby, I think I met him once, but it was drive-by shooting. He was, I was in a hurry. He was in a hurry. We just didn't, chat that much. But,
got it. So I'm gonna put you on the spot for
they're great to work with because I did all my containers with everything. It was like the blanks, fiberglass, magic color, magic touch paint, everything. Sandpapers, sand screens, the whole smear. And they did all the packing for us. They did all the ordering for us of this stuff over there. They're a super professional company now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the vibration and and I'd heard, you probably heard this also. What's his name? And Andoni, not Andoni, Andino.
Chloe Andino.
Yeah. His old man was?
Dino.
Right.
Andino.
He made, Biolas made sports for him, right?
Yes.
Losh? Right.
Yeah.
He said, Biolas said in an article at one point, yeah, his father used to drive me crazy because he's always grabbing the blanks and beating the blanks.
Slapping them. You know,
Looking, picking out blanks for his son,
Uh-huh.
you know, the ones with the right vibration.
Okay.
And he was weighing them, seeing how much they weighed and all that, you know. And there's blanks you find blank to blank. I'll like, you know, I'll do that. Goni will do that with me too. We'll look around for the blanks. Yeah, let's do it with this one. Let's cut with this one. Vibration. There's that, you know, those magic boards that have that ping kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big difference. And I think pros feel that more than like your common surfer and that.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, the flexibility in the stringer, you know, there's a lot in the board.
Got it.
You know.
What about this one? It might be an easier one to answer. FCS or futures?
What's that?
FCS or futures?
For me, it's exactly the same.
Really?
I think they're both good systems.
Okay.
You know, I use more FCS than I use future.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, you know, they're both really good systems. You know, how many years? they're thank God for FCS and future, both of them. Glass on fin, did those for so many years. It was crazy. And then you got, you know, glass on fins, if you think about it, you had an option of one outline. You're going to glass on an outline. We were doing our own foil, doing our own outlines. You know, we were making fin plates, sanding, you know, cutting out our fins and all that. And
yeah.
Glassing them on the board, you know. And
just one.
Yeah. We had like, it feels like there's too much fin on it. We were changing the outline on the board or knocking it off, putting it in a different position, trying to find a sweet spot with fins in that. It was a lot of trial and error and we learned a lot with that, but man, it was a pain in the ass. A lot of work, you know,
yeah.
a lot of work.
Wow.
It's like now it's, you know, you put your plugs in, you can have a guy will have a board and he says, board feels a bit stiff, change fins on it, change fins. He loves the board. You know what I mean? So there's so much more opportunity with like fin systems, whatever they are. FCS or future.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You're a future fan, I take it.
I am.
All right.
How'd you know?
I just do. I thought so. A lot of Californians are, for starters. And I think they're
Jersey.
You know, hey, if they're Jersey, all right. A lot of Americans are. Anyway. No, I think that, you know, it's a solid system. The future's solid. I think FCS is also, you know. I still like they got the new FCS system. Mm-hmm. I still put the screws in anyway, because I don't want to lose my fins, you know.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, we talked before about the biggest mistake that people make when they're trying to order a board. What's just one piece of advice that you give people if they're looking to, let's say, walk into a shop and buy a board?
You know, if you walk in a shop where where the salesperson are well informed in that, you know, listen to them a bit, or if there's a shaper around, have a chat with the shaper. Mm-hmm. Be honest about your surfing and what you're looking for, and if you take boards out of the rack, don't drop them. No, I think it's just more or less being honest, you know, and not. If you know what you're looking for, you know, go for it and check out everything that's there. But if you don't, you know, let someone help you out.
Yeah.
You know, because I think most shops and most serious factories are set up with people that are there pretty much to, you know, to indicate people. Yeah. It's like, you know, if I go to a ski shop, I don't know. I'll ask the guy, listen, I want to do this. I want to do that. I've got no idea what I need as far as skis go. You know?
I heard you just went skiing too.
I just went skiing.
Did they
took my skis back after the first day. I said, hey, I'm having trouble with this thing. What do I need? He gave me another one.
Did you show him a GoPro clip? Say, did you put a GoPro on your hat and say, hey, here's what?
I didn't.
Here's me. Can you figure out what I need to ride?
No. I spend no time with gadgets. My eyes are wide open. I don't want to eat shit on the slopes for sure, man. I got two fake hips, so it's when you hit the dust on the snow, it's a bit different, eh?
Yeah.
Different than water.
It is. Water is truly a lovely thing to fall on. Yeah. Let's just try some stuff that's well beyond our skill level.
There you go. As long as you don't hit the bottom, it's all right.
Yeah, that can happen, eh? Nice. So it's been a long time since you moved here. How many boards do you think you've shaped in your life?
We're just coming around on 20,000 boards.
Wow. So actually,
I know I have some that I didn't list a lot at one point, but I want to say somewhere between 18 and 20,000 because some of the boards in my book are not, you know, they're not my boards and that, you know what I mean? I mean, they're done by
book look like? I'd imagine back then there's just notebooks. You still have them. How do you?
I got that. My daughter said, well, I've got like stacks and stacks and stacks. Every board I've done, I've got a sheet where I put the date, the design that's on a computer, or before that, no design on a computer, client's name, length of the board, width of nose, mid board, tail, thickness of the board, what tail I use on it, what tail template I used on it, fin placement, and any comment, what blank I use and shit like that. All that on the.
Do you still do that by hand, or do you have
and every board's got a number. So I still got that, and it's handwritten.
Still handwritten. If you do a board tomorrow, it's handwritten.
It's handwritten. And I've got stacks of these things, man. Stacks and stacks and stacks. And
20,000 boards like that.
Oh, why don't you put it on the computer? And I handed her like 3 pages and said, I want you. And she looks at it and says, nah, maybe leave it at that. But you should start now on a computer. And I said, no.
Surely there's some AI that can help with that. Just hand it to the robots.
Probably.
Wow. Coming up in 20,000.
Yeah.
Is there?
But that's not a lot for a lot of factories. It's not a lot, eh?
But for one man to kind of, there's a lot of people that, might have boards with their logo on it that are doing that a year. But these are all coming out of your factory that you put your heart into. I think it's kind of a different story.
I've never been like a mass production guy either. I mean, I remember Morris and Neville and those guys back in the day, they'd be off Japan. They were doing 10 and 20 a day. You know what I mean? Just mowing through boards. I never did that. I was always like maximum 3-4 boards a day.
Yeah.
For some reason, I think I'm slow. I'm like, I take a lot of measurements. I write a lot of shit in my book and all that. So I've never been like
Do you have music going in there?
I do.
What do you play?
Well, I gotten like podcasts, believe it or not.
Okay.
I'm listening to all the old mob ones from Vegas and New York, the New York mob families and all that. I love that stuff.
You are. You've mentioned the spaghetti every night. You're talking about mob podcasts, your last name.
No, but I listen to a lot of music too. Probably too loud, but.
What do you listen to?
We've gotten into country in the last about 10 years, probably.
Really?
Still a lot of Bob Dylan, a lot of Van Morrison.
You're not a new fan then if you're 10 years into country. I'd say you're a decade of
I think country comes with age,
Does it?
I think so.
Okay.
Something about those corny old songs that you start to hit home, eh? But I mean, country, I'm talking like a lot of Johnny Cash stuff, a lot of Chris Christopherson stuff, a lot of, there's a lot of other like.
Bit folky, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've always liked, I'm a lyric guy, man. I love Zeppelin. I love a lot of those bands doing that, like Creedence, Zeppelin, Ozark Mountain Daredevils, New Riders of Purple Sage. You ever heard of those guys?
Yeah, I've seen them actually.
Yeah, that's a lot of mine. I like a lot of that old stuff.
Nice. I actually recently watched the Dylan, like the Hollywood movie. There's a good Scorsese documentary, but I watched the new one. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too. Just a short period of time, pretty much. Yeah, it's good. I thought it was cool the way they approached it. Not like just approaching that folk period where he passed on to electric and it was
pissed everybody off.
Yeah. But it was good.
A lot of other people happy.
Did you see the Oscars? Any chance?
No, I didn't do that.
They did a good thing on them.
Oh, really?
They had what's the comic's name? Sadler?
Adam Sandler.
Yeah, he was there in the audience, dressed in like a blue jumpsuit.
Okay.
And Connor O'Brien, I think he was the host, and he pointed him out. Hey, why are you dressed like that? I said, hey, what are you pointing me for? What's the matter with my clothes? I'm comfortable in this stuff, and it's not. I'm going to play around the basketball when I get out of here. Says that. And so he says, oh yeah, so I'm leaving. I'm out of here. He starts walking out. Hey, before I leave, let me say hello to a friend of mine. He runs down front, and the guy that played Dylan was dressed in a yellow, full yellow suit, like nice suit, but all yellow. So it was blue hugging yellow. So did you see the Trump thing the other day? Why? What are you doing here without a suit on? Don't you own a suit? So it was like they did the kind of the Ukrainian flag. Did you see that? Yeah, it was way good though.
I didn't read into
super
that.
Subtle.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it was great. Have a look at it.
Well, F you. Don't mind that.
There you go.
Okay, out of these boards,
Trump, we're not getting into that guy, are we?
No, not for this podcast. Not for this one. But what is your favorite board? If you had to pick one that you've ever made for yourself, just over these 3 decades, 4 decades, what is just the one board that you've had that you're like, man, I hope this thing never breaks? If you had to pick one, is there anything that sticks out?
It already broke.
I would imagine, but what was it? Tell us about it.
It was a catcher, but I keep making them. I just made this boat now, like this kind of little evolution thing, just to kind of get myself back in the water, get more waves.
And what is the catcher?
Catcher's a double wing swallow 4-fin.
Okay.
I love quads, and whenever I travel, it's always been with catchers. I mean, to the Mennonites, to the Maldives, wherever. But
and that magic one, when did you make that?
A few years ago, Quite a few years ago. I want to say about 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
What was the volume?
I don't remember.
No, how big
I
was
don't remember. I know the one I made the other day was 41 liters. That's an embarrassing amount of liters, huh?
it?
Need some help, man.
You gotta have a coach come in and tell you need
I
34.
tell you, he'd probably tell me I need 44 if he had looked at me yesterday.
Yeah, I wonder how the coach surfs, by the way. We recently did a thing at Stab. It was actually during the Vance Pipeline Masters where we had a little social media series where we had one of our team members walk up to competitors after they'd surfed their heats. So they're just surfing at the world's deadliest wave, a wave that has killed many people, many great surfers, and continues to seriously injure people on a weekly basis, really, whenever there's swell.
Yeah.
And so the whole concept was that we'd go up and we'd ask them to tell us their dimensions. And the catch was they can't look at their stringers first.
They can't look at the board.
They cannot look at the board. They just have to tell us that this is boards they just rode in heat. It's people dripping wet in their jerseys. Everybody got wrong.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Like,
funny.
how many of them really know what they're riding?
It was pretty funny. And they would almost take pride in getting like, one or two of the dimensions right. But, well, I was right about that. Like I knew it was a 6'4". It's pretty funny.
Oh, it is. There's not, I don't find there's too many guys that like, guys will say to me, I think I need a bit more flotation. Like guys on my team even, need a bit more flotation, or a bit less. Like let's take Vasco Ribeiro, for example.
Yeah.
He had a period he was a bit heavier. Now he's a bit thinner. So when he came back after he was injured, he got injured in Morocco. When he came off of that, he said, let's do some boards with a bit more volume. We did. And since then, he's dropped weight. His surfing, he's like accelerated big time. He's gotten a lot faster and all that. So he dropped thickness again on him. So it's back and forth. But I think he pretty much knows what he's on. But a lot of guys don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't make that make me what you made me last time. It was insane.
Do another one of these.
Yeah. So one of those.
Nice.
Why does that 18, 15, 16s or 7As or 19? They're not like, they don't want to know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some do. I do have a couple. I'm in a bit of trouble with this mic today. But
Mike's having a bit of trouble with
like got their little book, and they keep this board number and how thick it was, how many liters it had, what color was. I'm supposed to remember what color the board was and all that. You remember the purple one? I'm like, the purple one?
Okay. Purple one.
A quiver of 5 boards. There was a purple one, a red one, a green one, a yellow one, and a blue one. I'm supposed to remember which one was a purple one. I don't know. Give me a number. Give me a number.
That's better than somebody walking to the shop and saying, I want a purple one, right? At least 34 liters gives you a little bit more info.
There you go.
Well, we talked a lot about surfboards today. I want to wrap up by just talking a bit more about life here.
You still want to talk?
Yeah, I'm not done with you.
Gabby, little
Come
guy,
on.
All right, go ahead.
Outside of surf, we've talked about just empty lineups here, being essentially the first surfboard factory here. We've talked a lot about that. Yeah. Foam, fins, all this shit. What are just some of the most meaningful moments you think you've felt just outside the water here that really made you feel connected to this place?
I think just being here, like, I had a huge connection. I've got another part of my life in the water, which is diving, skin diving. And I mean, skin diving and catching fish and selling fish and gooseneck barnacles and octopus and all that. So I had a huge relationship, like from Ericeira, from Azenia Zamar to Peniche, almost like selling fish in restaurants and this and that, and Ribamar, like big time. And I got to know a whole generation of older guys there's not many left anymore, but had a huge connection with like that old, it's an old Portuguese style where guys used to have their houses and then they have what they call a casal next to it, where they have all their buddies over for like, stew or grilled fish or grilled meat or whatever with wine, the whole thing. And I got invited to tons of those things throughout the years, from the restaurant guys. Hey, there was a guy, António in the Curva in Ribamar. There's a marisqueira right in the corner there. Mm-hmm. Name was António, the owner of that place. And when I first started diving and started diving here, because I dove in the States before that. But when I first started diving and selling stuff here, he was like my first client. And I had no idea what the crabs were here. That never caught an octopus in my life. The fish were completely different than the fish in California. So it was this learning process. And I was like, for all the diver dudes that were there selling their stuff or whatever, I was like this, hey, good job, gringo. Like I come in with a couple of crabs and an octopus. I'm just thinking to myself, give me a little time, I'll get it down. And then I was like nailing it big time. And this guy always liked me a lot. And we had a great relationship. And I'd come by there in the morning, António, I got some bass in that. You want to look at these things? I really don't need any fish. Well, let me have a look at them. Hey, bass is beautiful. Hey, that perch is beautiful. Yeah, bring it in. We weigh it and all that. And he'd give me the money and whatnot. And he'd say, what are you doing for lunch? I said, I got no plans. He said, well, come around. We'll have lunch. Okay, come around lunch. And he's got the fish I sold him. He's grilling them. That's what we're having for lunch. I said, how's that work? You buy the fish for me and I'm going to eat the fish. He said, it's all about living in this and that. But yeah, I mean, you know, there was people, a lot of the locals, like true locals from this area, I had great relationships with, you know.
Yeah.
All the guys from the cafes, all the old ladies from little, you know, that had little houses that I always brought when friends came over, they would rent little houses from these ladies and that. I got right into like Ribamar from the Cafe Vittoria and the owners of the Cafe Vittoria. You know, they were like, you know, we were kids when we moved up here, man. It was 43 years ago. I was like 22, 23. So, it's, you know,
Nice.
it was, you know, it's cool. And even like all the people in Ericeira, and my wife's family had come to Ericeira from the time she was born and that, you know. Her father came from the time he was born to Ericeira. So they had a lot of history. And at the time in Ericeira, there was like, you know, there's nothing to do with what it's like now. There were families that came every summer, and there were like 2 little cafes, and there was Canisus, Paloma, and a couple other cafes where all the locals would kind of rotate in the nights and that. And it was a tight little community, and everybody kind of knew everybody.
Wow.
You know, and
Simpler time.
Nobody knows anybody anymore. And the same on land as it is in water. So I've carried a lot of real sweet memories from back at that time, but I think it's the same anywhere. You know, it's a surfing community. It got blown wide open, you know, as a you know, World Surfing Reserve, as a mecca for some of the best surf in Europe, and one of the most consistent places in the world, as far as I'm concerned. You know,
Easily.
you're from you've been to California.
I lived there for a bit, yeah.
You know how inconsistent that is.
Yeah, this is a different.
There's amazing breaks, but it's inconsistent as hell. I mean, you could sit in Ventura, wait for a month and a half, 2 months for a wave. You know what I mean?
The wave quality here is just
This place is like
so many world-class waves regularly.
And it's nonstop.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, it's become, like you said, the town has changed. It's become such a popular place to move, and I think it's still really on the minds of a lot of people. So if they really want to do it right, just come here, shape 20,000 surfboards, catch a big bass, and you're on your way. I think that's all we need for you, Nick.
I do miss old Portugal a bit, because I think it was what made me fall in love with Portugal. But that just time moves on. I mean, things have changed, and that's everywhere in the world. You know, I'm sure people who went to J-Bay back in the day thought it was amazing. It was a cool community and all that. It was like, you know, here was way laid back. Everybody left their key in the door. You know, I got, when I first stayed in Kirkcaldy, hey, come over tonight for dinner. Okay, where do you guys live? Oh, up that street, this and that. You know, it's that house, blue house in the corner and that. Go by at 6, but if no one's there, the keys in the door, just go in. These guys knew me for like a week, man. They just go in?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, okay. And I get there, and, you know, there were people there, but I'm thinking, if I got here, no one's there, just go in, just kick back on the couch. You know, what do you do? But it's crazy. It's just a different mentality. It's like, people were super open, super friendly. You know.
Nice.
All right.
Well, thanks for your time, Nick. It was a pleasure.
All right, man. No, it's a pleasure. Again, I should, like, every week now. We'll see each
I
other.
think that's just how we'll catch up. Is just
we did what? We did the Capital fight.
Mhm.
Then ran into you last week in
Carnival.
Carnival.
And now
becoming a habit.
I know.
Huh?
I'll see you next week.
All right, mate.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Thanks, sir.
Cool.
We good?
Appreciate it.
All right, man.
Always a pleasure.
What's this for?
This is it's for the internet. It'll be on that thing that kept ringing in a few weeks.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.